One of Poland's top performers is back on my channel within a short period of time because I've had many requests and thank yous for introducing her really to the English speaking side of the world here. I know that Polish people can speak English as well as Polish, but she tends to sing in her native tongue, of course, and it's my job as the intermediary to give you a bit of background about her and today's extraordinary masterpiece you're about to hear. It's one of the most beautiful songs, and I've had to stop myself hitting the repeat button too many times. So yes, I've listened to it, and you're going to listen to it because I'm giving you the very best on this channel. And Sanah from Poland is the very best in the music industry, female wise, in Poland today. She outshines everybody and she has a formidable following, and I'm not surprised. She's taken her inspiration from the poets for her latest album, and I'm just going to give you the name of that album because I got quite a bit up on her. Him is a single by Sanah. It was released in October of 2022, and the text, the lyrics of the song was written by Juliusz Słowacki. It is on the album Sanah Sings Poetry. Now, if I go forward to what Sanah Sings Poetry is, it's known as great poetry, being great and being poetry cannot fail to delight us. And so it does delight, especially when you sing like Sanah does and you produce a masterpiece vocally and musically like she has done. I've got to give credit to the editors, to everybody involved with this video that you're about to witness. It's soothing, it's relaxing, and it's her on a boat just paddling out, but you are just enthralled, taken on a journey vocally and musically by this extraordinary artist that has now got the attention of America and other countries worldwide. And I'm not surprised. I'm just a bit sad she wasn't on my channel and I didn't discover her a couple of years ago. But that's why I go back sometimes in an artist's catalogue and playlist to catch up, that we all catch up together, especially when I know everybody on my channel around the world. And this, by the way, is also translated into over 32 languages. It's just that my audience around the world need to appreciate this artist. My first reaction to Sanah was an okay reaction in my opinion. But then when I started delving into her playlist, I've realized she has multiple layers that I have to get through, and we are all going to discover musically and vocally together. As I said, she took the text of this particular song from Juliusz Słowacki, who is a Polish romantic poet. He's considered one of the three bards of Polish literature, a major figure in the Polish romantic period, the father of modern Polish drama. His works often feature elements of the Slavic pagan traditions, Polish history, mysticism, and Orientalism. His style includes the employment of neologisms and irony. His primary genre was the drama, but he also wrote lyrical poetry, and his most popular works include dramas Gordian and Baladna, and the poems Pewątki, and the testament Mowa and Anheli. Słowacki spent his youth in the stolen lands in Kremenets, and that's now in Ukraine. And he worked briefly for the government of the Kingdom of Poland, and during November 1830 uprising, he was a courier for the Polish revolutionary government. When the uprising ended in defeat, he found himself abroad and thereafter, like many compatriots, lived the life of an immigrant. He settled briefly in Paris, France, later in Geneva, Switzerland. He also traveled through Italy, Greece, the Middle East. Eventually he returned to Paris, where he spent the last decade of his life. He briefly returned to Poland when another uprising broke out during the Spring of Nations, which was in 1848. So that's the background to the man that Sanah has taken the text from. to produce this masterpiece. Sanah is an extraordinary person herself. She is, I'll give you a little tiny bit of bio if I can find it. Oh, here we go, with lots of people wanting to contact me, but it's too late. I'm just going to give you, Sanah is a Polish singer, songwriter, composer known for her indie electronic music. Born in Warsaw, she inherited her stage name from her real name. The English version of her name, Susanna, was shortened to Sanah, and music was a large part of her life from a young age. Sanah learned to play the violin at the age of 4. Now, during her musical studies, she auditioned for The Voice of Poland on several occasions, and the British and Polish versions of Got Talent. Although these attempts were relatively unsuccessful, Sanah continued to create music, and in 2014 she began gaining recognition on YouTube, and her growing popularity there eventually led to a contract offer with Magic Records. Well, Magic Records, you're never going to look back. She's sensational. Why do I keep emphasizing that she has produced a masterpiece from her album full of poetry? All the links will be in the description attached to this, and my previous reaction to Sanah as well. Please just take a couple of minutes to relax, put on those earphones, it's eargasmic, and enjoy Sanah and him.
Smutno mi, Boże, dla mnie na zachodzie. Rozlałeś tęczę blasków promienistą. Przede mną gasisz w lazurowej wodzie gwiazdę ognistą. Jak puste kłosy z podniesioną głową stoję rozkoszy, próżyn i dosytu. Dla obcych ludzi mam twarz jednakową, ciszę błękitu. Choć mi tak niebo ty złocisz i może smutno mi Boże, ale przed Tobą głąb serca otworzę. Smutno mi Boże. Jako na matki odejście się żali, mała dziecina, tak ja płaczu bliski, patrząc na słońce, co mi rzuca z fali ostatnie błyski. Dzisiaj na wielkim morzu obłąkany, 100 mil od brzegu, 100 mil przed brzegiem, widziałem lotne w powietrzu bociany długim szeregiem. Że mnie znał kiedyś na polskim ugorze. Smutno mi Boże. Choć wiem, że jutro błyśnie nowe zorze. Smutno mi Boże. Żem często dumał nad mogiłą ludzi, żem nie znał prawie rodzinnego domu, żem był jak pielgrzym, co się w drodze trudzi przy blaskach gromu. Ty będziesz widział moje białe kości, strasznie oddane kolumnowym czołom, alem jest jako człowiek, co zazdrości mogił popiołom. Więc, że nieznane gotujesz miłoże. Smutno mi Boże, że nie wiem, gdzie się w mogiłę położę. Smutno mi Boże. Kazano w kraju niewinnej dziecinie modlić się za mnie co dzień, a ja przecie wiem, że mój okręt nie do kraju płynie, płynąc po świecie. na tęczę blasków, którą tak ogromnie anieli twoi w niebie rozpostarli. Nowi gdzieś ludzie w 100 lat będą po mnie patrzący marli. Więc że modlitwa dziecka nic nie może, smutno mi Boże, nim się przed moją nicością ukorzę. Smutno mi Boże.
I have to say, one of the most beautiful, haunting and soothing sound. I don't know whether to call it a soundtrack or a song. It's more than a hymn. And if it's a hymn, it's a hymn of the soul. Right here it gets you right down, and you just sit back and go, what have I just listened to? And it calms you, even in the voice, even in my approach today for this reaction, it just calms you. She is sensational. And can I just make a very small point that some of the fans have made in the Jan reactions, because I've been extremely angry over the judges' comments towards Poland's representative for Eurovision. Well, a potential representative that wanted to represent Poland in the Eurovision. That's me correcting myself there. And he was called Jan, came out with Gladiator. The judges didn't like him, and one of them called him demonic. Now, go to Sanah. I've heard from her fans that she was also trying so many times on shows to get recognition and failed. I'm sure Magic Records are called Magic Records for a reason, because they have picked up a magical artist for their label. And where the judges failed, because they always do, they haven't a clue how to pick decent talent. Magic Records are the ones that are smiling, and so Sanah, and so am I, and so are you after listening to her. So she wins, and she'll continue winning, because that is the quality of the album, the song from her album. And let me just give you that before we go into the lyrics again, because I want to really get us all behind her. And it's on the album, Sanah Sings Poetry. That's in English. Look for it. The link ought to be in the description with this particular reaction. I always say, where words fail, music will carry you. And it's a very famous saying, and that proves it. Now, let's get into the lyrics now. I am sorrowful, God, for me across the west. You spilled the radiant brilliance in the sky. The waters before me, at your behest, douse a flaming star. Like empty ears in the field, with head held high, I stand devoid of satisfaction or delight. For strangers I have but one face, the silence of azure. Though you are gliding the sky and the sea for me, I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. I shall bear the depths of my heart for you. I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. As a departing mother's baby wails, so am I close to tears when I behold amongst the dancing waves the last glint of the sun. Delirious in the vastness of the sea, 100 miles from any shore, I saw today in airy fight storks lining the sky. That once I knew them on the Polish land. I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. And though a new sun will tomorrow come, I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. That I had to ponder over graves, that I barely knew my family home, that as a pilgrim in the thundery light, I wearily travelled alone. You will upon my pale bones gaze, not carried by the mourning crowd. But I am envious of others' remains laid in their graves. That I will rest upon a restless bed, I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. That I know not what grave my tomb will make, I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. Back home they pressed upon an innocent babe to pray for me each day, but I know that my ship is not heading home, sailing beneath the sky. Upon the glow that with such might your angels spread across the sky, in a new age somebody new will gaze and die. Thus that the child's prayer shall remain but helpless. I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. Before I become humbled by nothingness, I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. The poignant words of Juliusz Słowacki's text that Sanah has brought to life in that video is poignant because it does tell that he lived the life of the immigrant. He travelled those seas. He saw the sun rest on many places. And he eventually returned to Paris, where he spent the rest of his life. But he always felt an immigrant, never to return home. And when he did return home, only another uprising broke. And that was during the Spring of Nations. And that was the revolution of 1848. Sometimes known as Springtime of Peoples, it was a series of political upheavals throughout Europe, starting in that year. And it remains the most widespread revolutionary wave in European history to date. So as he says in the actual hymn itself, I am sorrowful, God, I am sorrowful. Is he sorrowful because he didn't partake as a soldier in the war, and that his heart ventured from country to country? But as he says, you will upon my pale bones gaze, not carried by the mourning crowd. In other words, he will die a lonely death in his room alone, with nobody overlooking him, carrying him to a favoured spot to rest in peace. As he says, I am envious of others' remains. So he looks at how things are traditionally done, but feeling like an immigrant and a nomad. Even when he returned home, he lost all those intervening years. Family, friends, stability. He never did find peace. And he was envious because it laid in their graves. And with that, I treasure Sanah and him. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.